Hey guys, welcome back. As always, my name is Leyzar, and today we're gonna be diving deeper into the Coda Catabolyst. We're gonna answer a few questions. Is it any good? Is it worth building? Do I have any build variety? Let's begin by checking out how the weapon handles without any mods equipped, and for that, just a couple of regular free shots. There isn't a lot of mechanical difference between the standard Catabolyst and the brand new Coda Catabolyst. It's the same beam with the same range, with the same critical chance, critical damage, mostly the same everything. But one thing, what made the Catabolyst special? The reload mechanic. As you can see, my weapon is with its magazine empty. It's not reloading by itself, but if I reload manually, it's gonna be firing not one, not two, but 3 grenades at the enemies in a frontal fan spread. The regular Catabolyst only fires 1, and that's the major difference between the regular Catabolyst and the Coda Catabolyst. Now, of course, you might be curious, hold on, is that it? Did we get any additional upgrades over the regular? And the answer is, well, kinda and kinda not at the same time. As you can see, you have mostly the exact same stats. The magazine has went up by a whole 6, yay, 6 extra magazine, but the same accuracy, the same beam range, the same fall off, the same critical chance, the same critical damage. You do get a bit more status chance, a whopping extra 7% on that one. As for the base damage, that one has also been increased by about 6.5%, something of the sort. Reload from empty remains the same. The radial attack also doesn't remain the same, because you see you have 3 grenades now, so the range has been decreased from 7 meters on reload from empty to 5 meters, but again, you do get those 3 grenades. Also, the damage has been nerfed from almost 2000 to only 658, but again, if you multiply by 3, you basically kind of get the same damage. So there you go. And the same will be true for the partial reload as well. The damage has been nerfed, but you do have 3, and the range has been nerfed, but you do have 3. So it's kind of the same, but not really for the most part. So we're gonna be building it kind of the same way, considering that we do have the same limitations that we had before. Keep in mind that if you want to use this weapon, let's say for its reload mechanic, and that's it. Let's say you fought like I fought, hey man, I'm gonna make a cool grenade build for it, because you know, the grenade actually packs a punch on reload from empty like so. You gotta understand that only the first grenade you fire will be doing the full reload from empty damage. Any additional grenades you fire by canceling your animation with something like a dash will only be doing the damage of the partial reload, which is about 9 times less. So a grenade build where you just dash or cancel the animation and you simply just spam grenades, unfortunately, isn't all that viable. So we're gonna be trying something a bit standard. Now, this is very similar to the original Catabolyst build, but we did brought it up to 2025 standards. So we have Pistol Elementalist here instead of a Faction Multiplier. Faction Multiplier would also be good as long as you are actually fighting factions that have mods for Faction Multipliers, but nowadays most of us are fighting the new factions which do not have a Faction Multiplier currently. So let's test out a build and see how she goes. If you don't have critical mutation, that's a bit of a pain. This is a fantastic augment for the Catabolyst. Instead, I would drop Flare and go for Enervate, just to supplement that critical chance that you're not gonna be getting from the augment. Outside of that, the build is pretty self-explained, and before you say Galvanized Shot, keep in mind that the damage bonus does not apply to explosions, so it will not apply to your area of effect, but the damage bonus will be applying to your beam, so you can slot it in if you want to. It will work just fine. And yes, that is multiplicative, but only on the grenades making physical touchy-feely contact with your target, not the explosion, no, just that contact. And that's pretty much it, which is why, in my opinion, Galvanized Shot is not overall worth it, but again, you can slot it in. Considering we're not going to be using Galvanized Shot, the need of a primer also kind of disappears for the most part, but we're still going to be using the Diriga and a crowd control build. So, Cold, together with Shivering Contagion, have you tried it? With the Tacticore, it's absolutely fantastic. You gotta give it a spin. No buffs on Ember whatsoever. So this is just gonna be the weapon on its own 2 little feet, and they are quite little in this case, and then we're gonna switch to Warframe buffs and all that good stuff. Level 205! Scaldra Battle Group, yeah, Scaldra Battle Group, level 205, Steel Path, all of that good stuff. And we're gonna take it slow. We're gonna take it slow and see what the weapon can do. Look at that, beautiful, isn't it? it still packs a punch, and it still doesn't have much of an issue when it comes to taking out this level of targets. And that's the big bada boom explosion. You want to use it from empty, so you get that extra damage, a lot of extra damage, and you want to hit as many targets as you can. As for the big guy of the Skaldra battle group, as per the usual, hit him in the belly, destroy the thing, then hit him in the back. Usually when he is in execute range, I just execute him to be done with the whole thing. Now, the Skaldra is not the only thing we're fighting nowadays, now is it? Next up, we're going to be testing on the Techrot battle group. Keep in mind that the Techrot are just weaker. That's how they are. So they're going to be melting, theoretically, a bit easier. Kaboom. That grenade can definitely deal a whole lot of damage. I wish we could have made a dash build for it, just to take advantage of said extra damage. I still feel there's one faction that is still relevant to this day, and I'm talking about the Murmur, because we still do Elite Deep Archimedia nowadays. You do Elite Deep Archimedia, then you do Temporal, then Elite Deep, then you have one more for a Netrocell run, or at least that's what I've been doing recently, and that's what I recommend for you fantastic people as well. Keep in mind that these heat builds, the beauty about the heat builds, as per usual, is the fact that basically they're kind of universal. I don't really need to change my heat build depending on the faction. Of course, if I cater the build to a specific faction, then I can get better results. But I'm the kind of player, or I think you are the kind of player, that will just slap on one build and just go from mission to mission for ease of use and comfort at the end of the day. One last thing that I do want to point out, even though these Coda weapons are not exactly new anymore, you have one addition with them, the Valence Override, which is available on Kuva weapons and Tenant weapons as well. I just format my Coda Catabolyst not once, not twice, but 5 times, which gives me access to Valence Override. But as you can see, I'm gonna need an Elemental Vice. Should I pay 20 plat? Well, you can pay 20 plat, or you can spend 50,000 standing at Eleanor Nightingale. Of course, this is gonna be standing with the Hex. The alternative is you can get this one by doing the brand new Temporal Archimedia. So those are the 3 ways you can get this one. And it is gonna be very relevant to the brand new weapons, to the Coda weapons. Like, keep in mind, you can use this on Kuva weapons and on Tenant weapons as well. And it is important because essentially it unlocks a whole lot more, not necessarily build diversity, but I want to say build flexibility. Go to Valence Override, install it, and now you are able to choose any element, but more importantly than that, you can change that element at any given time with no additional cost. Welcome to Steel Path. Now the weapon performs pretty much the same as it did in the sim, in the case that, you know, you're not gonna have any issue with this level of enemies. This is level 160 Skaldra Steel Path. Basically, we're doing a survival with a twist. It's called the hell scrubbing thing, because things appear on this and you gotta, well, scrub them away with your big damage. The weapon is also very easy to use. Being a beam weapon, it has no problem basically annihilating anything and everything that stands before it in brutal fashion. Especially when you reload from empty. You got a bigger target like a tank or maybe an acolyte, reload from empty is gonna be getting you that extra yummy damage. In my opinion, you should always be fighting with this gun, even if there are no enemies in front of you, so you can get to that reload from empty. Outside of that, now, I can't say this is my favorite level cap weapon. To be honest, I wouldn't be probably even taking it to level cap, since there are other more powerful weapons. But you know what? The Catabolyst has been always an enjoyable weapon ever since 2020 when it was launched, but it still suffers from the same issues it had back in 2020. And I don't really feel like the developer did enough with this one in terms of its core mechanics. But it is effective enough that you can get through most of the content that Warframe has to offer. Here we go. Here comes Johnny. Empty magazine. Did get a hit on that. And this is the beam for Zanks. And that's all she wrote. If you position those grenades a bit better against tanks, you will be getting slightly better rewards. And I do believe, my friends, that's pretty much it for the Catabolyst. Time to draw some yummy conclusions, yes? The weapon works well, and it's more than plenty to get you through the game, if this is the style of weapon that you enjoy. However, there are more powerful weapons. For example, you can use the Coda Encore. That is absolutely beautiful. Another fantastic alternative to the Catabolyst is the Occucore with the Augment. That one absolutely melts scores upon scores of enemies. I feel like they didn't really do enough in the case of the Catabolyst. I love the fact that we get 3 grenades, but they also reduce the damage to 43% per grenade. Outside of that, no critical chance increase, no status chance, no base damage on the beam. It's just simply not all that good. You can definitely live without this one. As always, my name has been Leyzar. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like, favorite, channel, subscribe only if you enjoy the content. and I'll see you fantastic people in the next one. Oh, tune into Twitch where we do this stuff live. Bye-bye.